are being taken up by the move. Snook tells CBC News residents are frustrated that they aren't able to get more police resources in the community for their health and safety, but several hundred extra resources can show up for an Alcor project. The town wants to know how much it's costing to move the transformers. Well, it's been more than 3 months since angry fish harvesters broke into the Department of Fisheries and Oceans building in St. John's. Tonight, one of those fishermen is facing charges. Here Now's Ryan Cook has more.
Terry Ryan used his protest sign to show his anger at impending shrimp cuts. Moments later, he led the way inside the DFO building with others following suit. That was April 7th. Today, he was charged with mischief to federal government property. And despite his role in rushing the building, Ryan does not believe he should be facing charges.
I don't think it's justified, no. I think it's a case of the big guy bullying the small guy, you know? I mean, my God, we're Canadian citizens. We're not foreigners. We're tax-paying Canadian citizens trying to make a living. I think it's heavy-handed tactics.
The protest was sparked by a 63% cut to the northern shrimp quota and a 22% cut to snow crab. According to DFO employees, the fish harvesters also broke through security doors in the upstairs of the building. Staff said they were frightened, but some sat down to meet with the protesters in the cafeteria. At the time, police told CBC News no charges would be laid unless a complaint was lodged. Ryan Cook, CBC News, St. John's.
There's reaction tonight to government's plan to bring big changes to the education system in the province. Starting next year, there will be new policies around inclusion and other aspects of the education system. Now, one of the shocking figures to come out of the report relates to the number of people who drop out of school, more than 1,200. Those people often rely on government services, a cost the province pegs at least $20 million a year. Well, tonight, an organization that deals with a lot of those young people says the cost of not addressing the problem is even more expensive.
There's a cost of doing absolutely nothing. You know, everyone kind of looks at the cost of doing something, but the cost of that doing absolutely nothing and leaving, you know, things the way they are is invariably much bigger and longer term. And then you look at that $20 million. Well, what happens then over, you know, generations? And we know a lot of these issues then begin to trigger, you know, intergenerational cycles of poverty and lack of high school completion and so on and so forth. So I would argue that that is the tip of the iceberg.
And coming up in about 20 minutes, you can see my full interview with Sheldon Pollitt of Choices for Youth. We'll talk about what he says needs to be done to help those young people.
A businesswoman in the local real estate industry is charged with stealing money from a former employer. And that employer is Eastern Health. As Here Now's Megan McCabe reports, she's facing several theft and fraud charges.
She may be most familiar as a real estate agent and the owner of Exit Realty Ocean's Edge. But Debbie McGraw is facing 9 charges for allegedly taking money from the Newfoundland and Labrador Public Health Laboratory. She's facing multiple counts of fraud and theft over $5,000 and forging financial documents. The charges span a 6-year period from 2006 to 2012, but police just laid the charges earlier this month. McGraw did work at the Public Health Lab during that time. It's inside the Miller Center here in St. John's and is run by Eastern Health. But before she left the health authority, she started her career as a real estate agent, later becoming the owner of Exit Realty Ocean's Edge. The Holyrood woman is still listed online in that role, and the voicemail on her cell phone says she's with the company. McGraw could not be reached for comment, and the woman answering the phone at Exit Realty Ocean's Edge says she cannot confirm McGraw's current role with the company. As for Eastern Health, the authority says it cannot comment on cases before the courts, and McGraw's next appearance there is scheduled for next month. Megan McCabe, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, these two places are about to become one, and the owner is looking for entrepreneurs. Posey Row is taking over a former antique shop next door. Owner Anita Carroll says the top floors of the 123-year-old building will be used as a cooperative space for entrepreneurs, an inexpensive place for budding business owners.
I think there's definitely a move back to simpler lives where you can be self-employed, you're not making a ton of money. So you want to keep it small, and there are not very many venues, especially in the downtown, for people to rent that are affordable.
Well, after a turbulent week, to say the least, the Ghouls' popular Chase the Ace is back. Only 12 cards remain in the fundraiser. Thousands of people are gathering in the area tonight, hoping for the chance to win more than $1 million. And that's where we'll find here now is Ariana Kellen tonight. So Ariana, remind us what happened with the fundraiser last week.
Well, last week, people were lining up as early as 6 a.m. for a chance at what was expected to be an over $1 million jackpot. But just 2 hours before draw time, a woman came forward to say that she had duplicate tickets. Then a man called CBC and said that he had duplicate tickets. Auditors were brought in from Service NL, and they decided to postpone Chase the Ace, but things have been cleared up and it seems like all systems are a go. Turns out that it was a printing error, and those people who had duplicate tickets are now, they have gotten new ones, and it means that all the people who are here today are people who had bought tickets last week because there are no new tickets sold during this week.
So Ariana, what is on the table tonight? How much money is up for grabs?
Well, the jackpot is over $900,000, but the consolation prize is nearly $200,000. So if the ace is chosen today, someone here will walk away with over $1.1 million. The 50-50 over $200,000, that's not chump change. So a lot of money is on the line, and even though there are still 12 cards left in the deck, I spoke to some people who thought that they were pretty lucky today.
50-50 tickets, and I got Chase the Ace. We're gonna win it. This truck right here, this is the crowd that's gonna take it all.
All right, so how long have you been coming to Chase the Ace?
Well, I've been here like 5 weeks now, and I had no luck, so this is the night for it.
All right, well, I took a look at some of the odds. We crunched the numbers. If you bought 3 tickets for $5 for Chase the Ace, your odds today are 1 in 2.1 million. In the States, you have a 1 in $700,000 chance to get struck by lightning. But you know, the odds aren't too bad, and trust me, I'm hoping that the odds are in my favor tonight, and maybe I'll share.
Icebreakers that will patrol the oceans between the North and South Poles for decades to come are undergoing rigorous testing in St. John's. We'll take you to the testing site in about 3 minutes.
And it is that time of year again when Government House in St. John's invites everyone to its front lawn for the traditional garden party. We have all the sights and sounds and even the hats. That's also in about 3 or 4 minutes from now.
Yeah.
Another day in paradise.
Yeah, really. Such a nice day. And again, a little on the cool side, I think, for those right along the coast. But tons of sunshine across the island and Labrador as well. A pretty nice day. Some cloud building in there now. But an even nicer Thursday, believe it or not. If you want lots of sunshine, check there. You want comfortable temps, check there. You want low humidity,
Yes, please.
check there too.
Perfect conditions.
I think really
which is the
tomorrow-
first day of my holidays.
Yeah, well, I deliver all the time. Just for Debbie Cooper, though. Have a look at your highs today. And again, note those cool temps right along the coastline. Cape Race, that is, just at 14. The airport actually topped out at 19 degrees. It was certainly cooler along the southern shore and directly into those onshore winds today, but a pretty nice day. Bonavista Vista topped out at 24, Badger at 26, and Corner Brook at 25. 26 even up through Makovic and Happy Valley Goose Bay. 25s for Nain and Labrador City as that warmer air is building in right now to Labrador with a southwest flow, and that southwesterly flow will be moving into Newfoundland tomorrow. Current temperatures still into the 20s across much of the island, and there's the clouds that have been building into Labrador for today. We'll actually zoom in and show you the GOES 16 visible satellite shot. There's a bit of a fade out here midday, but you can see where that cloud has been building in throughout the day, and a couple of scattered showers in here, no question about that, for southeastern parts of Labrador this evening. Hardly a cloud in the sky over western parts of the island today. You can see where we've had a bit of cumulus cloud cover bubbling up in through the interior parts of the island today, and that high cloud cover this morning has been clearing out across the Avalon quite nicely as we've rolled through this afternoon. So watch your timeline with your future tracker, and note the wind direction that becomes a little from the onshore for the east and northeast to a southwest-southwest flow for tomorrow. And so, yeah, that sea breeze setup is going to be changing, obviously, from the north-northeast coast to the west and southwest coast for tomorrow. Those scattered shower chances in Labrador do linger into tomorrow morning. There's a slight risk in places like Cartwright down through Mary's Harbor, but I think it's generally a mainly cloudy start for most of Labrador tomorrow. Labrador City, I think 6, 7 a.m. is dry, and then starting to really get into those shower chances after 9 for you folks tomorrow morning. And it's a beautiful start across the island. Temperatures generally in the 8 to 10 degree range. Now, as we move through the day tomorrow, lots of sun in the east. Note the cloud cover that will bubble up into the afternoon for central parts of Newfoundland and especially the west coast. And into Labrador, showers on the go in the west, and that scattered risk will extend into places like Happy Valley Goose Bay and Makovic for tomorrow, possibly even Cartwright as well. And that chance especially builds for the evening. So starting again near 10 degrees tomorrow, 26 degrees on that checklist of sun, comfortable temps, low humidity. How about a nice little breeze too, in case 26 to 27 is a bit too warm for you? Well, we're going to add in a little bit of a breeze there as well. So it is really an A-plus day. You cannot get better than this, in my opinion anyway, for late July across the island. Just a fantastic day, and again a little cool in those onshore winds along the south coast, but a pretty dandy day indeed. As we move into Labrador, note the clouds again that'll be a little thick for the southeast, chance of a shower, Makovic and Happy Valley Goose Bay into the afternoon, and some mainly cloudy skies and best shower chances from Nain back to Churchill Falls and Labrador City. This low is kind of stalling out as we roll into Friday in Labrador. It will bring some shower chances into Newfoundland for Friday into Saturday, and another weekend system for Sunday coming for the island. We'll talk all about that. Your 7-day trend is just ahead. Debbie?
Thanks, Ryan. The U.S. Coast Guard is using a research facility in St. John's to help design icebreakers that it will use for decades to come. The plan is to put new heavy polar icebreakers in the water by 2023. But before that happens, extensive testing is required to make sure the new ships can hold for 40 or 50 years of hard work patrolling the oceans between the North and South Poles. Much of that testing is happening at the National Research Council facility in St. John's.
The ice tank here was built 30 years ago as a place to test, specifically to test icebreakers and structures in ice. And what we can get from the tests here is the actual power that's required to push this icebreaker through the heaviest conditions that it will meet in when it's constructed.
There's not a lot of tanks in the world that can generate ice that you can actually do testing of hull forms and propulsion systems, and a lot of those are up in Europe, and so we're blessed to have one right across the border up in Canada. And so our goal is to test various hull forms and propulsion systems and determine what systems work, which ones work best. There's a lot of different factors when you're designing these things in terms of the ability to break ice, the ability to maneuver in the ice, and the ability to maneuver in open ocean as well. And so one of the things that makes our U.S. icebreaker design challenging is we need the ability to not only break ice, but we got to get to the ice. And so when we go down to Antarctica, that's like a 10,000 mile transit. So there are compromises there. So an icebreaker that might work in Finland or Sweden, or that's confined operations in the northern part of Canada, might not work for the U.S. Coast Guard because we have to make those long transits to get where we're going. So this is a critical part of our design effort, is to identify things we can do to make the propulsion systems more efficient and more effective.
The planned overhaul of the education system has caught the eye of Choices for Youth. We'll tell you why in about 3 minutes. Welcome back to Here and Now. Well, there's been a lot of reaction to government's new report on the education system, and many people were surprised to learn that an average of 1,200 students drop out of school in this province every year. Now, there are many reasons why a student gives up on education, but the big question is how can the system keep them engaged? I spoke with Sheldon Pollitt of Choices for Youth, an organization that sees many dropouts walk through its doors.
We saw over 1,200 young people come through our doors last year for a variety of reasons, some for housing support, some for mental health support, addictions, the gamut is there. Roughly 75% of those young people haven't completed high school. Many of them began disengaging from the educational experience long before the actual dropout point. So we see a lot of young people who their education was interrupted, not because they, I think, didn't value education, but because there was just too many other things happening, childhood trauma related things happening in their lives that just made participating in education impossible. The process of dropping out begins somewhere around grade 4, because you're that kid in that classroom who begins to disengage, in large part because there's a variety of needs in your life that are not being met. It may be something at home, it may be related to a number of things, but the earlier we get to that child, the more preventive work we do to reduce the risk of them dropping out, the risk of them becoming homeless later in life, and so on and so forth.
So young, it's amazing.
It is, but my motto is that if we do a really good job meeting the needs of the most vulnerable, the less vulnerable will inherently be better off for it as well.
Reading through the recommendations and trying to understand what a lot of them are saying, and a lot of them are very vague. What jumps out at you as something that's going to make a difference?
I think for me, when you look at the language around trauma-informed practice, that's a huge piece of understanding that for many of the young people we're most concerned with, the most vulnerable, the most likely to drop out, there's a whole host of issues, not just their educational experiences. There's a whole host of issues impacting on that. And the whole theory behind trauma-informed practice is really beginning to come to terms with and understand how trauma impacts on all aspects of someone's life. So it really begins to shift the focus on if a young person or a child is in a classroom and acting out, that's one thing, look at it as behavioral.
Can you give me a scenario, what kind of a trauma would we be talking about here?
It could be, experiencing family violence in the home. We know that is a huge factor in causing, family breakdown, future homelessness, so on and so forth. So if a child is experiencing those sorts of traumas, either directly or indirectly, just by being a part of it and witnessing, that is a huge impact in terms of how they experience other aspects of their lives. So you go into the school, and then that is the backdrop that your experience is being defined by, and all of a sudden you're acting out or things are happening in the classroom. And all respect to teachers, certainly with the full scope and volume of things they have to worry about, but if you're that kid, and then that's where you're coming from, you can understand it as behavioral, or you can understand that is actually trauma being played out in the life of that child in a school setting. And it begins to really change how you certainly understand, how you interpret, and how you respond to what's going on in that young person.
So is that training for teachers to identify this sort of thing? Is it a guidance counselor issue?
So trauma-informed practice, I think, is something that Choices for Youth, for example, has had most of its staff and many of its young people actually trained at this point in terms of understanding the concept of trauma-informed practice. I know there are police forces who use it and so on and so forth. It is really a lens that any service provider working with, certainly a vulnerable population or even in the educational system can utilize effectively to fundamentally change your understanding of what it is you're seeing. And if you change the understanding of what it is you're seeing and why, you can actually be more effective in figuring out what to do about it. So that's just one example that's in there. We talked about the rate of dropout. We know the early signs are there in terms of youth who are disengaging from the educational experience early in life. That kid quietly kind of moving back and back and back in the classroom, disconnecting from the educational experience. They may not drop out for another 3 or 4 or 5 years, but that process is beginning. So there are early signs that you can begin to identify. If we don't intervene and change what's going on, we know the outcome.
And the report says that there are over 4,000 of these students that have the potential to be dropouts. They're just not going to school. So how do you deal with them? How do you make sure that they stay within the system?
So I think part of it is if we looked at it strictly as an educational system issue, we're never going to get anywhere. Right, so we have to understand how the educational system plays a role in that, how the child welfare system plays a role in that, how the justice system or adult income support systems play, how the housing system plays a role in all of that. And one of the pieces I think for me is looking at these are very complex issues that we've been trying to figure out what to do with for a long time. I think one of our challenges, we tend to want really complex problems to be very simple to solve, and they're not. We need to come to terms with that and understanding is that it actually is a very complicated piece of business to understand how all these systems can work in a very different way to meet the needs of that child in that school. Because if we know that the same warning signs are there around their risk of dropout, pretty much the same warning signs around their risk for any number of things, mental health challenges, addictions, future youth homelessness, it's all the same issues, but we all tend to historically take very siloed approaches to trying to address it. So my answer to the 4,000 students is the educational system really shifting its focus and looking at them in a very different way, but then drawing in other systems that have a huge role to play in what's happening with those 4,000 students.
All right, Sheldon Pollitt, thank you very much for speaking with me about this.
Thank you.
We are live at Chase the Ace and the Ghouls. Coming up, meet some of the people hoping to win over $1.1 million.
Welcome back once again, and now we're going back to the Ghouls, where a lot of people have their fingers crossed, hoping that they are going to go home tonight $1 million richer. That's roughly what tonight's Chase the Ace jackpot is worth, if the lucky card is drawn, of course. Here now's Ariana Kelland is outside St. Kevin's Parish Hall watching all the action. Ariana, a lot of anxious people there tonight?
A lot of anxious people, myself included, but I have to tell you that there are a lot of professional Chase the Ace chasers. I spoke to some people who just followed Chase the Ace from Bay de Verde. They went to the Ghouls, and now they've got their sights set on even more Chase the Ace fundraisers. Apparently there's one in Holyrood. I'll let you meet those people now.
I got Brinks trucks over there waiting for me. What better than that can you get?
So what would you do with the money?
Well, everyone would enjoy it along with me.
Anything that you'd want to get for yourself?
Everything that you could mention. Cars, trucks, bikes, trips. Everyone wants to go on a trip, but I've been there, done that, but I want it all.
Well, good luck, and we're gonna...
Thank you so much. I hope I'm the big winner.
Now, of course, the jackpot is just over $900,000. The consolation prize is about $200,000. So if the ace is pulled out of the 12 remaining cards, someone could walk away with $1.1 million. But of course, no new tickets were sold today. So these are people who had purchased tickets on Wednesday and they had to come back today with their tickets. Now, I have to introduce you to one of those people. I'm going to bring in Joey Batts. And we actually met Joey here last Wednesday. He was part of our Facebook Live conversation. And Joey, you were disappointed because you didn't think you'd be able to make it back. And lo and behold, here you are.
I made it back. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I'd finish hiking in time, and I did, and I came back because I heard the news that they were redoing it, and now here I am.
So you did have a funny story. You didn't know how big of a deal this was until you got in someone's car.
Yeah, I was walking down the road and some guy pulls up really fast, stops his car, goes, "Hey, you're the guy from Chase the Ace, you're the hiker from New York." And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Come here, you gotta meet my wife." So he drove us up to his house. I met his wife, and he's like, "You're coming on my crab fishing boat tomorrow on Tuesday, and then we're gonna go out and I'm gonna show you real crab fishing off the shore, like can't even see the land." So that's what I did yesterday.
So you may not win Chase the Ace tonight, but you've made a lot of friends.
Yeah, it was a good experience. I'm glad I came, and even if I don't win, I had a good experience.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, so Chase the Ace, the draw is happening at 8 o'clock tonight, and if you want to get in on all the action, check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/CBC NL, and we'll be starting a live show at around 7:45. Debbie?
Thanks so much, Ariana. Well, will it be tonight?
Oh, I wonder, but it's certainly a beautiful day for chasing that elusive ace in the Ghouls.
Yeah, for sure. And it's also a beautiful day for the garden party at Government House in St. John's. The annual tradition attracted another fine crowd to the stately grounds. They're having a good time, and there's His Honor Frank Fagan and wife Patricia. They greeted the guests. This is the 5th and last time their honors will host the garden party as Fagan's term comes to an end this year.
Yes, some people have been coming to this event for years, a tradition they wouldn't miss, a time to catch up with old friends and acquaintances.
And others, as you can see, are newcomers to the garden party, soaking up all the sights and sounds, perhaps start their own tradition.
Yes, and what would a garden party be without a lovely cup of tea and a dainty sandwich or cookie?
And of course, the entertainment always gets those toes tapping, and lots of hats. Lots of hats.
Must have hats.
We got them in Ireland, actually. We brought them all the way over. We saw them and we said, "Oh, we have to have those hats for the next governor's party." So we bought them. We brought them all the way back, and it was a little job to keep them from getting crushed now, mind you. But they arrived safe and sound, and so we thought, well, we'll wear them today, why not?
We come every year, myself and my grandmother, and it's a great time to see our, history and our heritage and our culture, and a great time to take part on a beautiful sunny afternoon. I've been wearing suits to school every day since kindergarten, and I enjoy the dress and my morning coat and my tails and my top hat.
We put out 2,000 sandwich pieces. So they were all cut off with the crusts off like you do, and they were gone in under an hour. So, and we checked the urns to see, they're 100-cup urns, and we put out almost 600 cups of tea in about an hour.
Wow.
So indeed, a fine day for the garden party. People are still interested in coming out to what is known as one of the social events of the season here.
Yes, and we thought we'd take a look back at some government house garden parties of the past, beginning in 1939 when royalty was in attendance.
There is King George VI, Queen Elizabeth, or the Queen Mum. You can see they were pretty fancy dressing back those days with their furs.
Yes, and more than 50 years later, 1983, Charles and Diana were the guests of honor at the garden party in the pink dress and hat. Such a memorable visit for the folks that were there.
Oh, it was like rock stars were welcomed here. There's Governor and Lady Paddon. That's 1986. Breezy day in 1990. You can see that lady had to hang on to her hat. Yeah.
Yeah, and clergy were always in attendance as well at the garden party.
And as we mentioned in today's footage from today's garden party, there's always the hats, young and old. And there's another person of interest. Back in 2006, there's Governor General Michaëlle Jean and her family. They were here for a visit.
Yes, John Crosby, of course, Lieutenant Governor in 2008. And they also had the Wonderbolt Circus.
There's Crosby?
Yes, there he is. There we are. There's the Wonderbolt Circus with Benny Malone, and that was that year's entertainment.
And there's Miss Newfoundland. I don't know her name, but she made an appearance.
The weather update is brought to you by Belltone Hearing Service St. John's, helping the world hear better.
Remarkable to look back at all those years and see how many days were nice ones for the garden party.
Yeah.
Very few were just near the end there where we saw a few umbrellas. I thought we were going to get them all in with no rain.
I can tell you that we didn't go to all the rainy ones.
Yeah,
I've been here and we didn't shoot all of them.
Yeah.
And sometimes they had to be delayed, postponed, but anyway, the ones that we saw were quite lovely.
Yes.
Okay. So rain on some garden parties. Well, always nice to look back, and always, of course, nice to look forward, especially when Debbie Cooper has some time off, so no pressure with this 7-day coming up. As we look at your weather on the way headlines.
Well, before we go to that, we have more whale video.
Can't forget about the whale video.
Yes, just have a look at these humpback whales spotted off La Manche earlier this week.
Yeah,
Gorgeous.
not to be outdone, just watch this. I don't see the orcas, but we have the orcas coming. They were sent to us, and look how close they get.
Wow.
People who operate Trinity Eco Tours, took these pictures. You can hear how excited they are. Just look.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, we love whale videos here on the show, so keep them coming. And obviously, if you're right there, it's even better.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again to Trinity Eco Tours for sending that. Okay, back to the forecast and what is looking like a terrific Thursday across the island. Slow moving low, moving into Labrador beginning tomorrow, and that will then trickle into Newfoundland as we roll into the Friday, Saturday time period, and a weekend system that looks more like a Sunday system, at least over the last 24 hours. It's trending later and later, and it's actually trending eastward as well, and I'll show you what that means for the forecast and what it means for your Sunday plans in just a moment, but certainly watching that one. And there it is right there. In fact, that is the low that will wander eastward over the next couple of days. It'll hit the coast and then head up into our neck of the woods for that Sunday time period. But a lot of territory to get through before we get to that time, and so lots of uncertainty remaining with that Sunday system. In the shorter term, there is the area of high pressure that's dominating across the island tonight into tomorrow with lots of sunshine. There's that cloud cover building up into Labrador, chances some afternoon showers and especially evening showers for Happy Valley, Goose Bay into the southeastern parts of Labrador. It's mainly Labrador City up towards Nain where we have the best chance of seeing some of those showers in the mix for tomorrow. 24 to 26 to even 28 degrees for many parts of the island tomorrow. Expect the clouds to thicken up into the afternoon along the west coast as this disturbance moves eastward. For Friday, a pretty good chance of showers from start to finish. Southwest coast, the west coast of the island, the northern peninsula into the afternoon. Slight risk for central Newfoundland as well, but I think generally it's a mainly cloudy afternoon, and I think we will stay dry here in eastern parts of Newfoundland. So I'll put a 30 to 40% risk of a shower for you folks in central, but right now I'm thinking it's mainly a west coast story and back into Labrador again where that low is going to sit and swirl, and again dry here in the east with 20 degrees, but a little more of a south-southeast flow, so temps not quite as warm as they will be tomorrow for Saturday. So the low starts to wander into Newfoundland a little bit closer, moving eastward. Pretty good chance of showers again for the west coast. I think there's a pretty good risk into the afternoon for central parts of Newfoundland. Eastern Newfoundland, a slight risk, and I'm talking again 30 to 40% risk there, but I do have it in the forecast. So keep that in mind. Hopefully I can drop it out over the next day or so. But again, just to pointing your attention to the fact that it is a slight risk for the east on Saturday. And again, chances increase as you work your way west and then back into Labrador where northerly winds will be keeping temperatures just near 12 degrees on Saturday in Lab West. Now, as we roll into Sunday, this is where things get interesting. So that low, that first low will start to move eastward, and our second low will be moving in from the south. Now, the latest forecast model runs have been further offshore with this, and so hopefully that trend continues. But right now, it looks like eastern, possibly central Newfoundland, with the risk of seeing some of those heavier rains with that system, because it will be a juicy one for Sunday. Sunday, again, especially east and central Newfoundland. The west, possibly some late day clearing Sunday. It does look like Monday, Tuesday, okay. Regatta day for the east, still a bit of a question mark there. And Labrador, again, quite unsettled Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but some improvements into next week.
Okay, let's meet our young athlete of the day, Jeremy Winters from CBS. He's 9 years old.
And as you can see, Jeremy is a golfer. He's been golfing for 4 years, and this is his 3rd year golfing at the Wilds program.
Great work, Jeremy. Congrats on being today's young athlete of the day.
We have these beautiful shots of Hopedale, and in a few minutes we'll explain why the community has attracted the attention of an Olympic kayaker. Welcome back to Here and Now. And we have some beautiful shots of Hopedale, Labrador to show you now. They come from the people involved in what's called the C3 expedition, and you might be familiar with it. The federal project is part of Canada's 150th birthday celebrations. A ship filled with people from all walks of life is sailing from one end of the country to the other. And most recently, the group traveled along the Labrador coast, where Olympian Adam Van Couverden had the opportunity to connect with the history of the boat that won him the gold medal, the kayak.
My name is Adam Van Couverden. I'm from Toronto, Ontario. I'm also from the Canadian Olympic kayak team. Today here in Hopedale, I spent a lot of time talking to some local people. Need to get wet before they... I actually got to paddle a very authentic sealskin kayak built by a guy named Ross Flowers, who just decided that he wanted to reconnect with the heritage of the place and did something that his ancestors did for many, many generations.
Mike, if you want to.
I'd love to try it.
A lot of work. You gotta take all the fat off, clean all the fat off with Ulu. I think it's 4 on the bottom and 5 on top. The ones on top is the ring seals. They're smaller.
Never paddled a kayak like this before. Certainly never paddled one in the Labrador Sea before, so this is a first for me. You know, the fact that the kayak is an Inuit word for man boat, and that the boat was invented for hunting and exploration and fishing is not lost on me. I've always been very, very thankful and grateful for the people of the North. I feel very privileged to have access to that boat and the fact that it exists. And yeah, it allowed me to make a name for myself in Canada and abroad, and that's a real privilege. And I'm not a very spiritual person, so if I say I had a spiritual moment in your boat, that's a compliment.
Yeah, thank you for going in there.
No, cheers, man. Thank you for the experience. That's incredible. Thanks.
Beautiful shots for sure. Well, in other news tonight, the Transportation Safety Board is once again calling for mandatory life jackets for commercial fishermen. The board wants maritime unions to help change the culture so the devices are worn all the time.
Don't go out every day fishing expecting to be in the water, but sometimes things happen and you can be in the water, and this is a risk that's out there, and we want to reduce the risk in the industry.
TSB officials were looking into the fatal capsizing of a lobster boat. 2 crew members drowned off the coast of northern New Brunswick last year. Neither of them was wearing a life jacket. 8 provinces have measures in place that require fishermen to wear some sort of flotation device. Only New Brunswick and PEI do not.
We are getting a clearer picture of the damage done by wildfires in British Columbia. There are now more than 150 fires, and 21 of them are considered major. In Risky Creek, the burned out shells of 35 cars show the wrath of the fast-moving flames. Sprinklers were placed on top of the building at the impound lot. In the end, the building was saved, but the cars were destroyed. People in the area say they heard loud bangs as the fuel tanks exploded.
A coroner's jury in Northern Ontario has ruled the death of an Indigenous man who was handcuffed and stepped on by police was accidental. And just a warning, the video you're about to see may be disturbing. The verdict came down at the end of a 3-week-long inquest held in Cat Lake First Nation. Back in 2010, Romeo Wesley went to a nursing station to get help for a variety of symptoms. A nurse became concerned about his erratic behavior and called the police. Officers pepper sprayed Wesley and tackled him to the floor. The inquest delivered 53 recommendations aimed at preventing similar deaths in the future.
It's a sculpture of a First World War soldier made out of mud, some of which was collected from Flanders Fields. This piece was unveiled yesterday in London's Trafalgar Square to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the Battle of Passchendaele, where some 275,000 soldiers died, including 4,000 Canadians. And now the sculpture is slowly starting to dissolve. The Dutch artists who created the piece say they wanted to convey the emotional and exhausted feeling the soldier would have had at that moment. And although the sculpture was intended to melt over the course of 4 days, it's still hard for the artist to watch it fade away.
I'll call it a cover story of leader envy. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is the face of Rolling Stone's magazine August issue with the headline, "Why can't he be our president?"
Well, that's the tone of the magazine's accompanying online article, contrasting Trudeau with U.S. President Donald Trump, their differences in habits and policy. But even in those differences, it gives a look at the leaders' seemingly harmonious relationship. A revolutionary robot with the ability to worm its way into tight corners may someday help save lives. This robot can lift heavy objects, fit through small holes, and bend around corners. It can even stretch up to 72 meters and comes with a built-in camera. Engineers hope it will help in emergency search and rescue missions and even assist in medical procedures. What will they think of next?
That is really, really cool. Okay, quick check on the next three. You can see where we really peak in Newfoundland for Thursday. Not half bad for Friday, and then we will bring in those shower chances, especially to the west and central for Saturday. We will be, of course, keeping you posted on that Sunday system potential as well. We've been talking about whales a lot. I wonder why, because they're everywhere right now.
Oh.
How about that picture? That was taken in Cape Broyle. I'm not sure exactly when, but Colleen Carroll was there to snap this very memorable photo. And of course, I'm not sure if they were with the Stan Cook crew or not, but what a picture.
And he's just amazed. Look how close this happened in front of his own kayak.
You could almost hear them yelling.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. I am away for a little while.
Enjoy.
Peter Cowan will be here. Sometimes
Yes.
Jeremy Eden.
That's right.
See ya.
Good night.
Bye.